They called it the forgotten prophecy, a message buried in fragments of parchment, visions, and encrypted notes that somehow escaped the world's attention until now. The year is 2026, and according to mystics, seers, and even time travelers, this isn't just another turn of the calendar. This is humanity's final pivot point. Something vast is brewing beneath the surface of our fragile world, a convergence of warnings that all lead to one terrifying conclusion. Nostradamus, the man whose predictions have outlived centuries, wrote of a time when the great empire of the East will rise like a dragon, spreading its shadow across the world. Many dismissed it as metaphor, but what if it wasn't? What if he saw something far more literal, a geopolitical storm that begins in the East and ignites a chain reaction unlike anything humanity has ever seen? He warned of a great trembling in the West, when the two brothers are divided, and the third shall rise. Could this be the split of nations, the fall of alliances, and the rise of a new world order in 2026? Then there's Jean Dixon, the American psychic whose predictions startled even the skeptics. She foresaw the assassination of a U.S. president, the fall of the Soviet Union, and a mysterious child of destiny who would appear at the edge of the new millennium, one who would bring both hope and horror. Before her death, she whispered one final warning. The final conflict of light and darkness begins when the dragon wakes and the eagle falls silent. For decades, her words were archived, forgotten. But now, as global tensions rise and natural disasters intensify, those very phrases seem to pulse with meaning once more. Baba Vanga, the blind seer of the Balkans, called it the beginning of the end. Her followers claim she spoke of the year when humanity would finally witness the great change, when a hidden force beneath the earth would stir, causing the world to shift on its axis. The cold lands will burn, she said, and the sea will cover what was once dry. Scientists might see this as climate collapse, but Vanga saw it differently. She believed it was a spiritual reset, the earth itself purging what no longer belonged to its balance. And then, the strangest voice of them all, the man from 2062. He appeared suddenly in old internet archives, claiming to be a traveler from the future. His message was short, sharp, and chilling. Get to the mountains. 2026 is not war, it's correction. When asked what he meant by correction, he replied only with this: human civilization will divide. Some will remain, others will begin anew. It sounds insane, until you realize how perfectly his words echo the ancient prophecies before him. Nostradamus called it the reset of civilization. Dixon described it as the cleansing fire. Vanga said it would be the thinning of souls. And the man from 2062, he simply said, get to the mountains. Could all these warnings scattered across centuries, continents, and languages be pointing to one shared vision of the future, one event that reshapes the human story entirely? Because when you align the timelines, the messages, and the signs, something extraordinary emerges. Throughout history, moments of great transformation have always been preceded by chaos, by floods, famines, wars, and revelations. And the prophets seem to agree that 2026 will be that moment. Not merely another crisis, but a cosmic correction, as if the universe itself has reached its limit and must now cleanse what's broken. Nostradamus's lost quatrain, one found in a sealed collection in Italy in 2019, reads, in the 6th year of the second millennium's 3rd decade, when man believes himself master of heaven, the earth shall reclaim her throne. Many believe the 6th year of the 3rd decade refers to 2026. The master of heaven, perhaps a warning about humanity's obsession with AI, space colonization, and playing God with nature. And the earth shall reclaim her throne. Could that mean a natural event so massive it humbles the entire planet? It's not just prophecy anymore. Even science seems to whisper the same warning. The poles are shifting faster than ever before. Solar activity is rising to an unpredictable peak in 2026. Magnetic fields are fluctuating. Earthquakes are appearing in unusual regions. These could be coincidences, or perhaps, as the ancient mystics believed, the planet is alive and responding. Baba Vanga spoke of the year when the skies will darken and the great nations will kneel. Nostradamus said, The great one shall fall in the midday sun, and silence shall follow the thunder. Jean Dixon said, "A false peace shall lull the nations before the serpent strikes." And the man from 2062 warned of 10 days of global confusion before the separation. All four speak of silence, separation, and deception before revelation, an eerily similar rhythm of catastrophe. The question isn't whether these prophets were right or wrong, it's whether their visions were fragments of the same event seen through different lenses. What if each of them, Nostradamus in the 1500s, Vanga in the 20th century, Dixon in the 60s, and this mysterious time traveler from the 2060s all witnessed one single moment in time, a breaking point that human consciousness keeps sensing across ages? Ancient Eastern poems from the Tang dynasty even echo this idea. One lost verse, translated in 1998, reads, "When the dragon stirs under iron skies, the world will tremble in smoke. Mountains will whisper to those who listen." Historians called it symbolic, yet what if it was literal? Iron skies, dragon stirs, and mountains will whisper, the same symbols found in every major prophecy about 2026. There are also redacted Vatican manuscripts reportedly withheld from the public since 1972 that describe a convergence of omens in the mid-2020s, including a false dawn, a shaking of faith, and a great migration toward the high places. Scholars who've glimpsed these documents suggest the Church knew of a coming event, one not to be feared but to be prepared for. Could this be why so many modern mystics repeat the phrase, "Get to the mountains"? And here's where it gets even stranger. In several prophetic circles, from Christian mystics to Tibetan monks, there's talk of a hidden civilization that will emerge once the surface world begins to collapse. Not underground, but in remote, untouched regions, where the new human will be preserved not through technology, but through purity, wisdom, and unity. Dixon called them the children of light. Vanga called them the untouched ones. Nostradamus referred to them as the seeds of the second dawn. The man from 2062 described them simply as those who listen. It makes you wonder, are we heading toward destruction or transformation? Is 2026 the end of everything we know, or the rebirth of something we've forgotten? Because prophecy doesn't always mean doom, sometimes it means renewal, a restart, a forced awakening. Still, the signs can't be ignored. Global instability is peaking. New technologies are rewriting the fabric of society. Nature's balance is cracking. Political powers are realigning in eerie harmony with what Nostradamus called the dragon's ascent. And as the prophets warned, this isn't a war of armies, it's a war of systems, of belief, truth, and control. They say that before every reset, there comes a test of final choice between the easy illusion and the painful truth. Dixon said, "The world will be divided not by borders, but by awareness." Vanga said, "Some will see light where others see nothing." Nostradamus wrote, "When the darkness spreads, only the awakened shall see the path." The man from 2062 ended his transmission with the words, "You will not survive by running. You will survive by remembering." Remembering what? Perhaps that humanity was never meant to rule the world, but to live in balance with it. Perhaps the reset isn't punishment, it's correction, as he called it. A correction of what we've done to the earth, to truth, to ourselves. And maybe, just maybe, that's why every prophet, every poem, and every whisper ends the same way, "Get to the mountains." Because mountains symbolize elevation, not just physical, but spiritual, the higher ground. The place where silence speaks louder than noise, and truth reveals itself to those who can still hear. But before the mountain comes the storm, and that storm, according to the forgotten prophecy, begins in 2026. The question is not whether you believe in prophecy. The question is whether you can feel it. The shift, the unrest, the pulse of the planet changing tempo. Nostradamus, Vanga, Dixon, and even that mysterious traveler, none of them spoke for fame. They spoke because they saw, and what they saw was a future that demanded attention, preparation, and courage. Humanity stands at the edge of a cycle, one that began thousands of years ago and now completes its orbit. The ancients called it the turning of the ages. The Bible called it the birth pains. The mystics called it the Great Correction. And for the first time, science, prophecy, and history all seem to agree something is approaching, something vast, something final. It's not a question of fear anymore. It's a question of readiness. Because if 2026 truly is humanity's ultimate turning point, then what comes next will define not just our survival, but our evolution. If the prophecies are true, then 2026 is not just the end of an era, it's the unveiling of truth. Nostradamus warned that when the false star burns brighter than the sun, humanity would awaken to a deception it had long embraced. Some say this false star could represent artificial intelligence, the creation that now threatens to outshine its creator. Others believe it's symbolic of false enlightenment, the kind that blinds rather than reveals. Jean Dixon echoed this idea when she said, "The false savior will walk among men, promising safety but bringing division." Could this be the warning of a global system that appears to unite humanity but secretly controls it? Baba Vanga, before her death, spoke of a veil lifted between worlds. She said that in the year of the Great Shift, those who see will see everything. Many brushed it off as metaphor, but what if she foresaw the merging of the physical and digital, a moment when human consciousness becomes entangled with the artificial? A world where illusion becomes indistinguishable from reality. Perhaps the veil she mentioned is the boundary we're now crossing between human and machine, truth and simulation, creation and creator. And yet, not all prophecy is warning. Some of it is invitation. Nostradamus's final lines in that lost quatrain whisper a glimmer of hope. From the ashes, a golden dawn shall rise, not of kings, but of hearts awakened. Jean Dixon said the same thing differently. When darkness has covered the earth, the children of light will rebuild it in silence. And Baba Vanga concluded her teachings with a prophecy rarely quoted, "When man remembers his soul, the storm will cease." Maybe that's the ultimate key to all of this. The forgotten prophecy isn't only about destruction. It's about remembrance. The reset of civilization might not mean the collapse of cities or governments. It could mean the collapse of illusions. The fall of false systems that have governed humanity for centuries, the end of the age of blindness, and the beginning of awakening. But awakening, as history has shown, always comes with pain. The storm must come before the calm, and perhaps 2026 is that storm, the necessary shock that forces humanity to look inward once again. Every prophet, every mystic, and every hidden text seems to circle back to one final truth. The end is not punishment. It's purification. The mountain is not escape, it's elevation. So, when they say, "get to the mountains," maybe they don't mean it literally. Maybe it's a call to rise in consciousness, in truth, in spirit, to step out of the noise, the manipulation, and the comfort of falsehood, and to stand in the silence where revelation begins. Because according to the forgotten prophecy, only those who rise will see the dawn. 2026, the year of correction, the year of unveiling, the year the prophets saw, the scientists feel, and the world is about to live. The question now is simple. When the sky darkens and the dragon rises, where will you stand?